Hi everybody, this is Cyber Surgeon, and this is my first-ish look at Endless Legend. This is going to be what I'm doing my Let's Play series on, and it's a 4X strategy game by Amplitude Studios. They do Endless Space as well as Dungeon of the Endless, and Endless Legend is their newest game. Uh, really big into the 4X strategy series, especially with Civilization and the like. This is kind of a unique take on it, puts it more in a fantasy setting. So, full disclosure, at the start, I have played a little bit. As you can see right here, I do have a load game, but I haven't really played that much, so this is still going to be kind of a fresh look for you guys, as well as a fresh look for me. I'm playing with no mods, anything like that. So, to start with, let's just go ahead and take a look at some of the options that it provides for you. Basic audio options. No big deal. You can actually lengthen or decrease the length of time between music tracks when it's switching, so that's always kind of nice. And then quality, I will be playing on the fantastic quality, so hopefully this doesn't mess with the way the footage looks. So it displays in 60 frames per second, which is awesome. And right now I'll be running it in 1080p. And I'm really hoping, because I'm recording in 720p, so I'm really hoping it doesn't make the footage look weird, recording in 1080, recording a game that's 1080p and then uploading in 720p. So we're gonna see if that is a thing. You can set your max frame rate. I'm just gonna set it up to 200. Advanced video processing quality, geometry. Oh, you can change, what the heck? Chaotic? I don't know what chaotic means. We're just going to leave it on default, but you can keep it very strictly hexagonal. You can, I guess, allow it to be a little more chaotic. And, it's got a basic user interface. I haven't messed too much around with this big screen feature because I'm not playing on a big screen, so I don't really know. And then if you played Endless Space, it does give you the ability to go with the Endless Space color palette, which is kind of cool. Not a whole lot of games give a callback to a different series like that. So we'll just go ahead and validate the new changes. Shouldn't really mess with the footage at all. It wasn't really displaying in higher than 60 frames per second anyway earlier, so. But here we go. So I'm just going to go ahead, we're just going to go straight into the tutorial, because I'm sure that there are things about this game I still don't know how to do. So let's do this. So they do this like biblical-ish, like a creation myth loading in, giving you the name of the planet and whatnot. I just wish it didn't flip by so fast that it's not possible to read it. Alright. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and apologize if the audio footage sounds remarkably different now. I had to switch microphones. I forgot to do that before I started recording the initial footage. But, what are you going to do? Alright. Welcome to Ariga. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. In order to survive on this dangerous world, you're going to need to build a mighty empire, face powerful foes. Tale begins here. The first army. Let's get location. So, I don't know what faction I am. First Iron Legion. I have no idea what faction that belongs to. Army panel. Basic. Kind of a basic UI. As far as for 4X strategy games go, I noticed relatively early on, it's not building out vertically. It does kind of take up a decent amount of space, but it's not building out vertically. It's kind of building out horizontally across the bottom, or on an RTS kind of a feel. Several pawns on a hexagon. Okay, so yeah, it's just gonna get into the basic settler stuff. Let's just go ahead and get through this. Oh crap, I probably Okay, so it looks like it was the health points. It's just a basic, it's a health point in the army. Your movement, and then your vision range. Nice little layout for it. Each region only contains one single city, which also exploits the region's terrain resources. So let's take a look kind of more at the screen. One thing I did like about it is that when you zoom out, there we go, this part, Splat, that is the awesome name for the region. When you zoom out to this, and I'll zoom out again after I found the city so you can see the difference, but it was something really interesting. I like that it kind of goes out into a more zoomed out continental kind of a map. I think it displays it kind of nice, especially with it switching to the more of a sepia tone. I like that. All right, so we have food, industry, science, and dust. Dust being the replacement for gold. You can toggle the display of the terrain resources. And for the most part, I actually prefer to play with them off. And I'm going to continue to do so just because it kind of gives map clutter, but it is nice to have that, especially when you're early on trying to learn the different tiles. But as you can see, it also gives you the breakdown. Every time you're just mousing over a generic tile, you get the breakdown, and you can see what specific thing in the tile is giving each resource, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back off. Alright, so the major factions, best selected city that gives access to the terrain resources for the surrounding exploitation tiles. So let's use the call invasion screen. So right here, it brings that display the resources right away, which is awesome. And I'm assuming the exploitation tiles that it says are like the immediate hexagons around the city. So I'm going to go ahead and found my city. Actually, it looks like right here. Going to give me access to a decent amount of science, and then I can immediately acquire that 6 more science. Not immediate, but that could be one of the first things I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and found over there. One thing I have noticed, at least thus far, and I'm sure it's here somewhere, because I haven't found it yet. Oh, yep, there it is. Alright, so you can rename the city. It just doesn't give you the option right off the start like a lot of other games do. But that's not a big deal. This is your city interface. They collect every turn the terrain resources. Alright, so you get this worker UI, which is really interesting to me. I haven't actually figured out exactly how to acquire more workers. I need to do that. You can mouse over and kind of determine what buildings and whatnot are giving you particular effects, and then you get a multiplicative effect off of the workers. Well, let's move him over to production. So there we go. We switch. Oh, okay. So excess food produces additional workers. So it looks like leaving someone in food is going to be at least the best at the start. And you get your industry production. So let's go ahead and get started on the Founders Memorial. That's just a basic. It's kind of a weird. Just a kind of declaration of the capital, I guess. I'm actually going to move. So that's going to add one more turn to the amount of production required to finish the memorial, but
should allow me to get a second worker here quicker. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this is the research screen, and instead of giving like a basic map that you go further down, you can just basically pick anything that's in these little radial dials, and it's split into 4 different directions. You have your military, your science, industry, empire and expansion, and the economy and population. And then each era will unlock different luxury resources, strategic resources, your tier of your empire plan, which I'll go over in a little bit, as well as the weapons and armor. And as you can see, I have 3 technologies researched so far, and takes 9 total technologies to just unlock the level 2, which will then open up all these research opportunities, and it goes further. And it actually goes pretty far to a tier 6. And the tier 6 bonuses are pretty intense, like a double life and damage for all military units, which is pretty ridiculous as soon as you get down to that. So let's take a look-see. Let's get some Dawn officers, I think, is where I want to go. Let's get some cavalry going. And one thing I do like about this is you can just queue up several technologies, and it'll just keep going. So you don't have to do the standard. As soon as it's done, you have to go back into the tree and pick a new one. You can just kind of queue up a specific order and then just let it churn them out in the order that you selected. Let's go ahead and do that, and then let's open up some more economy. Let's get a mill foundry, and we'll knock out those basic science buildings as well. Alright, so then I have 6 things queued up, and then I can actually just deselect them at any time, and it'll change the entire order. So, let's go ahead and knock that out. And then just end the turn, standard. Population of Splat. Such a horrible name. I'm gonna change this name. This is the tutorial. I'll do a more. We'll try to craft the story of an empire later when we're not in the tutorial. So yeah, so now we have a second worker. We can move them around so that they do have a pretty multiplicative effect on a specific location, and then you can just on a specific resource, but you can also just move them around. Okay. So this is what this is going to do. Is this going to open up? It's just going to make your actual city tile larger. So rather than the kind of sphere of influence that you get from, say, Civilization, and I know I'm going to compare back to that, but that's the one that everyone knows. That's kind of where all these 4X strategy games are going to find their strongest comparison, and I like this because it's a more tangible effect on the map when you're actually. It's a slower expansion style, but it changes the map around you instead of just kind of increasing the color. So that was eloquent. Yes, alright, so spreading cities too wide or settling 2 new cities causes approval to decrease, which will, I guess approval is essentially morale. Not bad. go ahead and just end the turn. Alright, so this is going to be the basic unit building. So we have the Marines. Add 2 Marines to the construction queue. So it will take several turns to... And so what you can do with the dust, the gold system, is you can actually just buy the units straight up. So instead of doing it, you know, like the buy for gold system in Civilization, you queue it up, and then based off of how much is left, you can buy out the remaining construction. Let's go ahead and just buy out those Marines. All right, so we got our splat Marines. So let's go ahead and create the new army. That is kind of an interesting system. So unlike Civilization 5, in which your units can't stack, this has a more kind of a total war feel as far as the army selection and stacking and things like that. You actually just get to create the armies, and armies can have hero units and stuff assigned to them. It's pretty interesting. It's a different take on it. I like it. We have our first stone phalanx. Let's go over there and take a look at those temple ruins. The ruins are everywhere, and they function kind of like barbarian camps did. You just kind of, or they function like the ruins do, and you just kind of mouse over them, or send your troop in there and see what happens. We got 10 spices. Nice little luxury resource. And if you see down there the booster, I'm assuming it's going to give more in-depth analysis in the tutorial, but the boosters basically just give you a 10-turn boost to something in your city. It recommends for me to split them, but I'm not going to, actually. I don't particularly feel to split. Okay, so this is one thing that is just littered everywhere on the map in these. And so instead of doing a city-state system, we have minor factions, and the minor factions each will, if you assimilate them into your city, into your empire, you not only gain a new unit, so we get this, so if we were to assimilate these Sisters of Mercy, we get these Justiciars, I don't know, Justiciars is what we're going to go with. Which is a support unit, gives you some debuff, immunity, disease immunity, and whatnot. And then they also give you a stacking assimilation effect, so you kind of want to pick which ones you want to go for and just kind of stack that as high as you can. 5% health regeneration, that's not bad. Alright, so we have a Founder Memorial in Splat. Okay, so now we're going to go into the minor factions of the tutorial. 1 minor faction per region. I didn't know that. Yes, and they are also the primary generators of essentially the barbarian roaming armies. bonus. And as long as you haven't been particularly hostile to a specific minor faction, you can parlay with their leaders. And if you complete the quest that it will then give you, you get all of the villages in the region, which is awesome. Alright, so the tribe leader wants me to go kill a hostile monster. It's in a temple ruins. Okay, that's just over here. Alright, well, let's send our marines over. What kind of marines would we be if we did not go over and take out a scary monster? I don't want to be this story. Alright, so here's the quest screen. And the quests is one of the most unique things about this game. You actually, instead of it kind of dictating your experience as far as the way that each particular playthrough goes, it just kind of gives you some of the lore and the things behind your actual faction, which is awesome. The quests, the main quests, you don't actually have to complete, but they're obviously good to do so. But they do tend to be fairly open-ended, require you just to research some technologies or explore some ruins or things like that, which you're going to do anyway. And then it'll allow you to gain some lore, some specific, some tangible benefits for your faction, things like that. It's a nice little system. It makes it each playthrough give you some new stuff to do, especially with the side quests that you can get. Let's go ahead and let's track this particular quest. Alright, let's go ahead and end this turn so we can finish our Sister of Mercy quest. Alright, so we'll get some titanium and pacifier. What is this? A rumbler of the Ursus faction. Alright, take them down. Alright, so it brings it to this screen. So instead of doing a more standard, just attack it and see what happens on the main map, it does kind of more of a Total War style, where it gives you the two, armies on either side. And I don't know why I gestured with my hands, like you can see that. But you have your two armies on either side, and if it's the battle's occurring closer to, say, my city, then you can start seeing the reinforcements and everything that can start coming in. It's pretty interesting. And you can just do kind of the auto mode, to where if you don't want to play the battle out every time, which I would assume over a longer campaign, that might be something you'd want to do. Yeah, if you're going to manually fight the strategy, you can actually select each regiment and choose whether or not they're going to be focused on offense or defense. But since I only have one regiment, it's not a big deal. And we go into this. We start getting more of a tactics combat kind of style. Okay, so this is something I didn't know. So when near friendly units, the morale increases, which increases attack and defense. I didn't know that. It just doesn't matter what units. I guess it's just anywhere near them. And then, standard elevation and terrain and whatnot. So in this right here is where you're going to see your the way your actual combat unit is going to perform. You can see its maximum range. It's Techno Lever. Oh, so the equipment is made is the same, because I guess with these guys they have the holy resource. So if you declare, say, titanium is a holy resource, and you have them with their titanium equipment, then they get an additional bonus. It can be sold, and then they get some additional power when they're in point blank, as well as some additional defense. Nice little block. So let's go ahead and I'm going to deploy. I guess no. I guess actually leaving them stacked together would be the best plan, since I don't have a melee unit to engage with that. Just leaving them stacked together is going to be best idea. Let's do this. Alright, so now you just kind of assign your targets. So obviously, since I only have one target, that's going to be who I assign it to. And then we have an initiation order, initiative bar, I guess. Kind of functions like how in most tactics games, you just have your speed. Kind of feels actually more like a Heroes of Might and Magic kind of a thing. Select unit. Oh, okay, so that's awesome. So you can select its position and then hold control to target a unit to, get him to move and then attack. And get a more manual control of the way it works. So, let's go ahead and launch. Alright, I'm gonna move that out of the middle of the screen so you guys can see what's going on with combat. My crossbow marines, who can somehow fire a crossbow one-handed. This rumbler thing, take a look. This rumbler is just gross looking. Can't get a good look at his face. Alright. So yeah, we're just gonna leave it a default target. Let's take a look. Bam! All them crossbows, take that rumbler down. And there we go. That's the basic combat right there. So then you'll get the experience down at the bottom, just some basic experience per unit. And one thing I didn't mention, I don't know if I might have skipped past it too fast for people to read it, but the battles will last a maximum of 6 turns. So there can be survivors on both sides after the 6 turns, which would then cause you to essentially have a draw. Oh, sweet, there was some dust still in there. Alright, so now since we've finished that mission, we have the Sisters of Mercy, who we can then assimilate. So we're going to go ahead and bring up the city again. My city. Here's my city. Boom! And we get this little empire mode. And now we add, so the pacified city adds to the population of the actual city. And then you can assimilate it into your empire. I don't know if it's going to have me do that in the tutorial or not. Are there 3 cities in this region? Yeah, there's 3 pacified villages. Wow. Alright, let's take a look at the Empire screen. So, okay, so that's the faction I am. I'm the Vaulters right now. So let's go ahead and assimilate. I assume, yeah, there we go. Let's go ahead and assimilate the sisters. Which does cost a significant amount of influence to do so. But now we have, so since we have 3 villages, we're going to have 15% health regeneration. Yeah, so let's take a look back at the city. There's a dye deposit in the region, which we can then build a dye extractor on and get that out. Yeah, and you can just queue it up straight from the map, which is cool. Open the military screen. Wait a second. You can edit existing unit designs? I didn't know that. That's freaking awesome. Let's do this. Let's make some edited Marines. What do I do when I edit them? So you can add, you can change. Oh, so you can actually just customize how your units work. That is awesome. All right, so let's make a new dude, shall we? Let's make a new dude. What kind of stuff do I have? I have a shield. Okay, so I guess really the only option I have to work with is to switch to a longbow, which is going to change his. So he no longer has the block. So if I mouse, okay, so the point blank power and the block comes from that. But this gives him a lot more additional damage and gives him bonus to killing some flying units, which is handy. And then if we, okay, so I can equip. Ooh, what's glory or death do? Oh, well, I don't want, if I'm building him kind of as an archer, I don't want him to actually have. Okay, so there's 20% additional damage. Can throw on a helmet just to provide him with some additional. So, and all these things I'm assuming are going to increase the actual construction cost of the unit. So yeah, so now it's going to cost 138 industry or whatever that production thing, as well as some 3 titanium in order to churn this dude out. What is he going to be named? That's a good name. Well, I have a Marine. This guy's just going to be... Let's call him a hunter. If he's designed to kill... There we go, let's call him the hunter. That's so cool. I know, that just made me so much more excited to play this game for Let's Play now. Oh my god. Alright. That's so flippin' cool. That it would be kind of cool if it changed his icon, but I guess it doesn't. No big deal. At least it lets me know what his base unit is. Let's go ahead and throw a hunter in the queue. I'm so excited for that. Oh, I get to see so much cool stuff being able to be done with that. Alright, so I have my Dawn officer ready. So we've got heroes going down now. Hero units. Heroes can get injured, but not killed on the battlefield. I didn't actually know that one either. Has to be assigned to the army as a general or to the city as a governor. Okay. Who are you? Let's inspect this person. Instantly equip new items. As long as they're in the academy or located within the territory, they can immediately spend resources to change equipment. Alright, so she's going with the bow or crossbow shield kind of thing. So my question right now is, if I give her this, what happens? Okay, so that would definitely be good for it. Alright, so then if I'm sending her out in an army, then she doesn't want that. Oh, okay, and now I can't. It'll cost too much titanium. Let's see. Would you like to wear armor like a cool kid? Alright, and then we got the skill tree. So her class is what's based off of her actual, so you got your ranged, your cavalry, or melee, things like that. That's the actual class abilities are going to come from. The common abilities, as far as I'm aware, are just any hero gets these abilities. And then faction is obviously based off the fact that she is a Falter. Okay. Alright, and that basically seems like the end of the tutorial. Go ahead and just click and turn, which should complete the tutorial. Boom. Alright, here we go. Let's do this. Because everyone just now learned my real name. Alright. So that is the tutorial. I'll take a look at how long. Alright, so we're about 40 minutes in. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get the basics of the Empire started. Let's go ahead and get it started up, get kind of a feel for the faction we're going to play as for the Let's Play for this. And then let's play. Let's take a look, see. Alright. Let's take a look at the advanced settings. So we're not going to time the turns because I'm playing by myself. So we don't typically care about that. Counter sequence. Every 2 rounds. No, let's leave it on normal. Let's make them a little quick. Alright, so we have various victory conditions: score, elimination, expansion, economic, diplomatic, wonder, scientific, supremacy. Yeah, so elimination is kill everybody. Expansion, so if you have to conquer 80% of the land. That's cool. Economic. So that's just to generate enough dust. Huh. Diplomatic. Accumulate enough diplomatic points. Wonders. Reactivate the concrete endless. Wow. Yep, you basically cap out the 6th era for your scientific victory. Then you have supremacy, so you take out all, make sure, so what's the difference between elimination? I don't know. I'll have to actually fine-tune to figure that out. Oh, that's, yeah, so if there's a bug, we'll just leave that on binary. Don't care about that. We want to allow custom factions. Yes, we will allow custom factions because I'm playing with myself. For the first Let's Play for this, we're just going to leave this on a normal sized map. But I do have an intention of playing on a large or huge map sometime in the future. Let's just leave it on a Pangaea. Yeah, we'll just have a nice landmass with the ocean. Is there a continent? Oh no, let's do a continental. Do 2 continents. Let's split this in half. We'll get some more regularly shaped continents. We'll just kind of leave it as a first playthrough. We'll leave it just everything kind of normal. It's chill. We're going to do the first time. All right, and then we get to select the empire. And I do believe I want to go into this with a custom faction. No, it's first time around. We're gonna stick with what Amplitude has provided for us. But let's take a look at the factions. So we have the Wild Walkers. One thing I really do like about this fantasy setting is that we don't have any specific like Tolkien kind of ripoffs. I guess the closest would be kind of a combination of the Wild Walkers and well, the Wild Walkers are still not quite there. I guess like, if you like combine the Wild Walkers with the Arden Mages, you might get more like the Elves. That's about as close as we get. Alright, so the Wild Walkers, a faction of creators and builders, strive to bind rocks and trees into great living monuments. The relationship with dust is intense and dangerous, and under its influence they explode into berserker rages. Or like, crack to them? I don't know. And I guess, so each faction has a main victory type that they're kind of geared towards. These guys are geared towards wonders. And as far as their more unique basic units, we have the Dakari Ranger. Standard Archer. Get some long range. Ooh, 4. Yeah, that's pretty decent. Striking from above, they efficiently damage and cripple enemies. The Agache Shaman. Masters of the sharing, an ancient rite that channels the rage of beasts. They fight with spells and claws. They have a slowing down ability. Then we have the Tenai Walkers. They are the incarnation of the powers of the forest. They are actually what allowed... Oh, they followed the Wild Walkers when they emigrated to the plains. Frontline fighters. Alright, and then each faction, of course, has their own individual traits and things like that. So, first thing we get is the sharing, which you can detect opponents' armors in your empire as well as the adjacent regions. So, that's actually kind of handy. Way of the Woodlands technology to give forest defense. So they definitely have more of a forest. They're definitely built around the forest. They have their main quest line. Oh, and obviously they have their main quest line. I don't know why that's in the traits. It's kind of dumb. They have a specials. Oh, they just start with. Okay, so so they're gonna start with the Way of the Woodlands. They're gonna start with a super system, which is odd. Then they have living towns. So during the summer, they get extra production of trees. And they have seed storage as their third. Every race going to, or every faction is going to begin with 3 technologies. The third one is pretty substantial food increase during the summer. All right. So that is the Wild Walkers. Honestly, they're pretty low on the list of people who I want to play. They're just not big into wonders. As far as 4X strategy goes, it's not a very appealing playstyle to me to focus on just building buildings. That's not too exciting for me. We have the Broken Lords. Main focus is the victory. The main victory type is the expansion. So that is the controlling 80% of the continent, right, of the world. And the faction, this is such an interesting faction to me. This is who I tried playing as before. They are a faction of knights dependent on dust for survival. They exist only as spirits wrapped in a great suit of armor. They're noble warriors who wear the polished armor of chivalry and adhere to its ideals, even though they are immaterial and have lost much of their humanity. They're just so cool. They said they're completely incorporeal. There's no one in that armor. That is just the glowing light of his eyes, really all he is. So I'm going to skip over the settlers, because the settlers are settlers. They're just settlers. So then we get the stalwarts. They're the mainstay backbone of the Broken Lord army. They are slow, but solid. They are, I guess, the curse of the lords is probably what turned them into these. And this is one thing that the Broken Lords can do, and I'll go over it later in the traits, but they can actually heal themselves with dust. I guess these guys can actually leech health off of enemies. You have the riders, who have Broken Lord cavalry beasts. This is cool. And we have the Dust Bishop, the holy leader within the Church of the Broken Lords. They're responsible for the well-being of the troops. They summon the Blessed Cursed in the midst of battle, and they're healers. Which, as you'll see right here, the appetite for dust, one major disadvantage to the Broken Lords is that they cannot use HP regeneration in any way, shape, or form. They do not see, gather, or use food. They use dust to create new workers. They use dust to heal their units. Everything about them is dust. And as such, obviously, we get the Dust Bishop and those things. But they do actually start with some of the best armor in the game. They have a 10% reduction in titanium and glass steel item costs, as well as the ability to use tier 1 titanium and glass steel armor right off the bat. And they get +1 dust out of terrain with dust because, dust. And they, of course, have the Empire Mint to give additional 15% dust in their cities. So they're honestly, the reason I played these guys is because I'm so interested in their lore. I want to play through the quest to see what the heck happened to them. But, I'm not a big fan of the appetite for dust as far as the playstyle goes. I'm not a big fan of having to pay for my workers as well as pay to heal everybody. You get poor quite quickly, having to pay for everything. So, we have the Vaulters. Vaulters are not from the Fallout universe, unfortunately. They are lost even to themselves, their history, as they teach it to the children. It begins with a great metal habitat lodged in the surface of Auriga. They are conservative and wary. They have limited relations with those other people in Auriga. First off, we have the Marines. These are who I was playing through in the tutorial. So we have Marines. Marines are basic. Marines are boring. We have Dawn officers, who are cavalry, even though they show no, there's no horse or anything in there. So I have no idea what they're going to ride. But they leap into battle and charge from afar. They have some bonuses to ranged with Pierce, which is kind of cool. And we have the Titan, which is a gigantic construct of relic, machines, and magic. Titan is a formidable melee warrior on offense or defense. And I don't know what defensive impulse means. Unfortunately, you can't mouse over those from in here. You just gotta look at them. Check out their glory. Alright. So the Vaulters have a thing called the Holy Resource, which is another kind of an interesting mechanic. I like that each faction has their own, very specific affinity. And what the Holy Resource is that it, the Holy Resource can be used as a booster. The booster gives teleportation between cities when it's activated. 200% of the Holy Resources generated per turn during winter. And then it also gives minus 50% to expansion disapproval. So we have the Veins of Auriga, which gives them +1 resources on every strategic resource deposit. Then, we have the Open Pit Mine, which you'll start out with, which is just the basic, that's the extractor of all the different luxury resources. Knack for Knowledge, which is a +1 terrain with science, which kind of helps them with their main victory type. The Deep Generator, which I guess the only thing you really need to do for that is to pick your Holy Resource, and then it's just going to boost everything. Strength of the Vault gives a bunch of bonuses to city defenses. 80% or 80 fortification, 5 fortification point recovery, -2 upkeep. What not? The Vaulters have a main quest, obviously, just like everybody else, and then we have the public library. We have the Necrophages. Oh, I guess I should give my description of the Vaulters. The Vaulters, they're science, but they're not particularly interesting to me. They're too. Oh, they're just boring. They're just dudes who like a thing. You get to pick the thing. They like it. So I picked titanium. They like titanium. Cool. Lots of rich backstory there. So we get the Necrophages. And I probably have simplified that way too much, but whatever. It's my show. So we have the Necrophages, and their main victim type is elimination, which fits just so well into the way they just look and their lore. They're a hive people who survive by ingesting or converting others as they infect them with the plague. And they're scavengers and survivors, always hungry, always hostile. They're viewed as a scourge by other peoples, and from the sounds of it, by good reason. Look at that freaking settler. What the hell is that? Anyway, so we have the Forager, who is a tracker, skilled at leading and tracking pheromone-scented trails. They spit corrosive acid. We have Necro Drones, which is actually the first flying unit I've seen so far. And they, can fly. They're cool. These things are very bug-based. This proliferator resurrects foes. They mind control them. They plant parasites and they take them over. They're support units, and they're kind of cool. These guys are like if the Zerg existed, 4X game. If the Zerg existed in Warcraft, that's what we'd be looking at. That's what these guys feel like. Alright, so then we got the Recycling, which is they get +1 cadaver, and the cadaver is going to be a unique resource that they use per any unit killed in battle, unless of course they're defeated. If they don't have any survivors, then it doesn't matter. They get 1 recycled stockpile per 8 cadavers. We have Cellulose Mutation, which decreases the cost of districts. We have Fast Epimorphosis, which increases their health regeneration. We have the Will of the Hive, which is +4 attack per declared war. But then you have the technologies, the Demanding Gods. You sacrifice 1 worker to gain approval. The duration depends on how many workers remain in the city, and then you can accumulate them. You can stack that. You get so you get 1 turn of additional approval per worker in the city right before the sacrifice. Yeah, your Necro Drone. The hell? Why are those 2 different things? I don't understand why that's split into 2 things. So, I'm not going to continue to look at it. Agriculture Challenge. They get -1 food production, which is just a huge hit. Cull the Herd, however, they get +2 food per worker in a assimilated village on cities. And they're pigless. They cannot broker peace. They have no diplomatic technologies. They can't bribe or talk to anybody. They are cannon fodder. They have -50 dust to hero and military upkeep. They're definitely into the swarm. And you get your alchemist furnace, so you can get your glass steel and your titanium extractors. These guys are interesting to me. I like playing the elimination type. I definitely go for the everyone will be in my empire kind of a build. But I don't like the fact that they're agriculturally challenged. Honestly, I don't like that. Just seems like it's going to be a really big, a mountain to climb right at the start. I don't want to climb. Let's go with the Ardent Mages. They are also science, primary power of these sorcerers comes from their anger. Having survived a long history of slaughter and starvation, the powers they discovered and that permitted them to survive are based on dust magic, agony, and rage. So they have the Telsome Warlock, which is the rank and file of the Archmage army. They leave a trail of scorched destruction, and they're a melee unit? It's weird. Okay, so we have the Ateshi Zealot, who has horns coming out of her eyeballs, apparently. In the air, the vicinity cools as an Ateshi Zealot conjures a rain of fire to hurl in the enemy ranks, but is more preferably than being in the burning firing line. So they're basic rage unit. We have the Enequa. What the hell? Enika? And I'm gonna go with Enika Wing. It is said that the worst way to die is to burn. And they have blazing wings. That's cool. Ooh, and they revive. I'm hoping that means that these are basically like a Phoenix unit. That would be awesome. Alright, so let's take a look at their traits. We have Power Through Pain. We choose Arcana Pillars and spells at a lower cost and trait points. Power Through Pain on the Empire. Okay, I don't really know what that means. That didn't tell me anything. Arcana of Materializing. Pillar of Extraction on the Empire. 1 Incantation Deluge on the Empire. And so what that means is, depending on the Arcana level, there are 2 or 16 dust on tiles within the pillar's range for the first 10 turns. And then +3 dust on tiles within the pillar's range for 10 turns during winter. And the Incantation of Deluge gets a 8 or +40 damage in a circle of 1 tile. Jesus. That's high. Alright, Dust Mechanics, +1 Arcana level for all pillars on the Empire. If I knew what an Arcana level is, this would make much more sense. +1 Arcana level for all spells on the Empire. Arcana of Agility. It's +1 Pillar of Speed and +1 Incantation of Haste. Pillar of Speed is -50 or -70% movement cost on tiles within the pillar's range for 10 turns. -50% movement cost on tiles within the pillar's range for 10 turns during the winter, as well as the Incantation of Haste, which gives a +6 or 30 attack. Arcana of Authority. I kind of don't want to play these guys just because I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Alright, so let's do Pillar of Influence and Incantation of Enervation. Gets +1 or 5 influence on tiles in the pillar's range, and then you get the winter bonus. As well as you can stun targets. Arcana of Renewal gives food. Basic +2, +16, and then winter, as well as life. Dust Purifier, +1 Arcana level for all spells. Sacrificial Amplifier, +1 Arcana level for all pillars. Enequa Wing, Ardent Mage's main quest, and the Arcana of Matter gives a science buff. Okay. You know what would be really, really cool is if it would tell me what the hell Arcana Pillars and all that crap means. Like, these guys seem really interesting, but I'm so confused at how on earth they possibly play. So I'm gonna move on. Roving Clans. Economy victory type, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna play these guys, at least not at the start. I'm not at all interested in just worrying about how much gold I'm generating, even though he looks so happy. Alright, traders, explorers, adventurers, roving clan, or nomadic and mercantile. Bring commerce and hard-headed negotiation to the far corners of the world. They have the Dervish, which is like their basic. I like that their basic unit is a cavalry unit. They have a cavalry ranged, and then that big friggin' rhino thingy. Oh, that's kind of cool. Nomadic cities, they can relocate their cities at will. That's different. I don't know how many, that's actually kind of cool. Cuts both ways, receives 8% of every transaction fee paid by another empire. So it's just all going to be, you know, twice the life on a hired mercenary. It's actually kind of cool. Brace yourself. Minus 50% city upkeep during the winter. 25% for trade route bonus on city trade routes during the winter. Oh, okay, so they suck during the winter. That sucks. Insider trading gives you some additional marketplace stuff. Can't declare war on people. That's annoying. That would be very annoying. Actually, so no matter what, that's going to rule them out, because I want to be able to declare war on people. If you tell me I can't declare war on somebody, that's all I want to do. The Drakken are also another really interesting one to me. Ancient venerable race. Scholars of the Drakken prize lore, history, and wisdom above all else. They're few in number, but they are exceedingly powerful. They would rather seek relationships, information, and knowledge than war. Faction histories, artifacts, and ruins are highly prized by the Drakken, while wealth, military power, and advanced technology are insignificant. We have the Drakkenlings, which are dragons that can't fly. Then we get to wyverns, which, you know, wyverns. And ancients, which, you know, dragons. Like, dragons. You get to be dragons. Dragons. That's all I have to say about that unit. Diplomatic pressure. One thing that these guys are ridiculously strong for. Gives the Empire the ability to force a truce, peace, or alliance on a targeted empire. I'm assuming that costs just a crap ton of influence, but like, holy crap. Endless excavation, hereditary keepers. They give, we get extra stuff on print. Environment, same environment that Broken Lords get. Same, it's just a building. Advanced diarchy. You can unlock Empire plans earlier, and you get an Empire plan tier on Empire. They're well connected, so this race gets a huge advantage in that you get to know where the starting position of every other player is. And language square, you get that ability to parlay and bribe right off the start. And then we have the cultists, who are led by two creations that are remnants of the Endless: the Queen, imprisoned within her indestructible throne in the capital city, and the Unspoken, a wandering, insane being of enormous power. Left alone on the planet for millennia, they have turned against their creators and sworn to destroy every trace of their existence. To do so, they recruit, train, and arm lesser beings from tribes and vagrants that that live scattered across the land. Regardless of who they are, who they've previously sworn allegiance to, the tribe turns to the cult. It does so until death. Monolithic, fanatic, and ever-expanding. The cult of the eternal end will spare no effort, cost, or sacrifice to see that its will is done. These guys are creepy. So there's the preacher as the basic unit, as a support unit, trained to convert others to the cause of the eternal end. They spread the teachings of the cultists. And then you got the fanatics, who are massive cavalry units. You have the nameless guards, the eyes of the cult. Are these guys all robots? I don't know. Like, obviously that dude's not a robot, but that's a robot. That guy's not a robot. That's like weird. Alright, so we have the high seat of the Queen. What? Constructed around a single city that is their religious center, this faction creates no new cities and does not produce settlers. Their city center can be upgraded to a higher level than any other faction, becoming an impressive and powerful metropolis. But, holy, what the hell? You can't have a frickin', oh my, this is a one city empire? What the hell? Alright. I can see, I dig it.
Here. The whispering
yeah, there we go. 160 city fortification on main city.
Memories of our people.
Alright, that balances that out.
They came.
Science stockpile per worker when a city is raised. They get destructive analysis.
Our world was
Language square. You could parlay and bribe right off the start. That makes sense. Conversion. Convert pacified cities. Converted villages are lost for their original owner. Give all advantages of pacified cities to the new owner, no matter their location. Will exploit feats on their tile, and the 6 tiles around them for the main city of the new owner. And they regularly spawn a non-retrofittable unit for the new owner. That's pretty strong. Weapons of the enemy. A captured city is immediately something I'm bumming out. It's immediately raised. 1 industry stockpile for... What the hell? Okay, so they automatically burn enemy faction cities to the ground. And then just get a bunch of extra industry from them. We are Legion. Plus 40 XP when recruiting a converted unit. Cultist main quest, and then military science gives some city fortification and whatnot. Okay, so let's pick a faction that we're gonna play as. We said it's not gonna be the Wild Walkers, it's not gonna be the roving clans, but everyone else is kind of fair game. Ardent mages, I'm kind of super confused by, so I don't think I'm gonna pick them. I might just go necrophages, even though I don't like that initial hill kind of a thing. No, let's go Drakken. Let's be dragons. Let's be dragons. Let's be dragons. Yeah, we'll be a dragon. What is that? Big freaking scorpion. I don't know what the hell that is. It's in the background. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, so we're gonna do the initial founding of my empire, and then that'll be it for this Let's Play session. Thank you very much for sticking it out through here, through the tutorial, all that fun stuff. I know it's been kind of a long one. I'm gonna try to keep future sessions to an absolute max of an hour, but I might go with like half an hour sessions or something like that. Something a little palatable. See, this, like, I like that, you know, and all of that is me, Arga thing, but I can't ever read it. Like, it just skims through, and I don't want to try to pick out one line at a time and, like, write it down to remember. That's just not. I wish it would, like, scroll it through so, you know, when it's saying loading terrain. Oh, wait. I'm going to shut up. Okay, so apparently I'm going to save the world. And... okay, so let's colonize, shall we? There's 9 food available there, but I can gain some production here. I think that's what I'm going to do. Alright, and Sarad, which has the Nidya in it. Sarad. Yeah, we'll have the... I like that name. That's a good name. So this will be the Empire of Sarad. Has been founded. Catch us next time. It'll be after Christmas. I will come up with a regularly planned schedule for when these come out. But it will guarantee it will not be until after Christmas, the next time a video comes out. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Again, this has been Cyber Surgeon, and this has been The Endless Legend by Amplitude Studios, and we'll see you next time.